discount for buying more groceries. It's a deal we've seen for decades, but inflation is killing this bargain, and we've got the numbers to back it up. So think about the last time you bought eggs. We know they're one of the more expensive items on the list, but federal data is going to tell us that a dozen eggs cost about twice what they did back in 2019. Now, citing that same set of data, the article adds that overall consumer prices rose by about 20% between 2019 and 2023. So here's the tip this morning. There's 3 things you need to consider. First, just do the math. Count up how much you're going to be spending with and without these supposed deals, and then purchase accordingly. Number 2, stay away from the perishables. Now, this does need flexibility, especially if you have a bigger family to feed. But more often than not, buying fresh foods in bulk is going to lead to waste. And then 3, stick to your budget. So we've been talking about this for weeks now, this 50-30-20 rule. That 50% of your household income is going towards your necessities. That should help you put together a grocery bill budget and stick to it. And just one more stat before we let you go. These tips might just help you save more money than the nearly 75% of households that don't follow a budget at all.
WCNC Charlotte.
Good morning, Carolinas.
Tune in to the team that's preparing you for your day.
We are following 2 major breaking news stories this morning.
See the difference in your morning.
You can see clear skies out there off in the distance.
Everything is flowing just fine.
We're asking where's the money so you can get ahead in 2024.
Responsible reporting, community-focused, unique content.
Good morning, Savannah. Hi, Sarah. Great to see you.
See the difference. Weekday mornings on WCNC Charlotte.
Well, today in Charlotte, a moment many dream of becoming a reality for this man, a NASCAR driver. He probably looks pretty familiar. Daniel Suarez achieving the dream of becoming a U.S. citizen today.
A lot of people come to this country with a dream, with hope.
From go-karts to mini stock to NASCAR, Daniel Suarez has spent the last 2 decades winning, and now the Mexican-born driver is an American.
I was one of 48 people that came today to become a citizen. 28 different countries. That's pretty remarkable.
Suarez was named NASCAR Xfinity Series Rookie of the Year in 2015, quickly following that up, winning the NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship just 1 year later. But Suarez says his journey to become an American is not something he will take for granted.
Honestly, being part of this journey in the last 12 years has really taught me a lot. I feel like I really hope that a lot of people has the experiences and the opportunity to go through something like this, because it really teaches you a lot of things in life, and I felt that I won't take this for granted. I just hope that this is the beginning of something great, and that I can be the example for many people.
Meantime, this tonight, a harsh spotlight remains on some Mecklenburg County commissioners after they blocked a Mecklenburg County Pride proclamation last night.
WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker live in the newsroom. And Austin, you seem to have a pretty good understanding of what went wrong and why after digging through this information today.
Yeah, that's right. I spoke one-on-one with Commissioner Pat Cotham today following that block, and she walks us through the timeline. And even though the request for the proclamation was late, she and the county attorney are in consensus. They say commissioners could have followed previously established regulations and passed that proclamation altogether. Friday, Commissioner Pat Cotham realizing a Pride proclamation hadn't been submitted to the clerk, something that had recently been done every year.
And I said, okay, I'm on it. And then I contacted the clerk as is appropriate,
asking for it to be added to the agenda.
It's the same proclamation we do every year. It isn't like they've got to create a new one. And then all of a sudden, she says he rejected it.
Board Chairman George Dunlap citing county procedures. A document of policy and procedures for county government states all agenda items must be submitted to the clerk by 4 p.m., 11 business days prior to the meeting.
The commissioners who have been on the board for a while, Vilma's been on the board for like 15 years, she didn't know that. Mark Jarrell, who started in 18, he didn't know anything about that. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to add a proclamation to honor Pride Month.
Fast forward to Tuesday. Commissioner Cotham introduces the proclamation with 2 co-sponsors. All but 2 of the commissioners voted yes. Board Chairman George Dunlap and Commissioner Elaine Powell voted no.
I was mad.
In an email from County Attorney Tyrone Wade to Commissioner Lee Altman, an item can be added to an agenda at the meeting as long as it receives a unanimous vote, something highlighted by Commissioner Altman that night.
We can unanimously vote to put it on the agenda, and then we are fully compliant with our rules and procedure.
Both Dunlap and Powell say they stand with the LGBTQ community.
I really was supremely disappointed.
Jermaine Nakia Lee with Charlotte Black Pride wonders why not then just vote in favor.
It was inappropriate, and if the rules allow for a majority vote to supersede the fact that the proclamation didn't come in a timely fashion, then that should have been done.
Wednesday, Commissioner Cotham holds the blocked proclamation in her hand.
And you'll see that Commissioner signed it at the bottom, and the space for the chairman is blank.
She says it's not meant to be a reminder of progress, but the challenges of unacceptance some in the community still face.
I apologize to the LGBTQ community for this rejection from their hometown, from their home county. I'm sorry. It should not have happened. They deserve better than what happened last night. And I hope at least it gives them some comfort that 7 of us did support.
Now, if there is a group that wants to submit an LGBTQ proclamation, Commissioner Cotham says she will send it to the clerk. Now, I did reach out to both Board Chairman George Dunlap and Commissioner Elaine Powell on why they voted no, as they said they do support the community, and they did not get back to us. For now in the newsroom, Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
Thanks so much for asking those questions for us, Austin.
When I think about the community, I think about the time that I've been here. I've been in this community almost my entire adult life. So you get to know the people. When you know what they care about, then that's what you care about. This community looks at all of us who do weather here at WCNC Charlotte as part of their family. And when you're part of their family, you want to make sure you do it just for them.
And as Pride Month continues, we're taking a closer look at some of the issues that impact the LGBTQ community differently. It's why we caught up with the LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Now, the group serves communities across the Carolinas. We're going to hear from one of the chamber's gender specialists in just a moment, but we wanted to start with this stat. In a recent survey, more than half of respondents, about 67%, said they experienced discrimination because of their status as members of the LGBTQ+ community. The survey comes out of Experian, which asked the same question last year. Compared to 2023, though, this year's response shows an 8% increase. It's numbers like those that the LGBT Chamber works to address. Here's gender specialist and chamber worker Bethany Corrigan on the kind of work that they do.
Make sure that people of all gender identities are included in things like social services and public health programming, who is being missed, who is being, potentially discriminated against or overlooked.
Now, we also talked to Corrigan about Mecklenburg County Commissioner's latest meeting grabbing the attention of hundreds. It's where the board actually failed to pass a pride proclamation due to procedure. Corrigan had strong words at that meeting, saying they were tired of being politicized, adding the message members sent to the community is that Pride Month was not important.
Time now to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense. Tonight, folks will be able to see the first full moon of summer, but the strawberry moon isn't actually named for its color.
Don't get your hopes up for the sky to turn red tonight. Let's connect the dots. This year, the strawberry moon will be a unique event as it coincides with the summer solstice. But its name actually tells us more about the summer season than it does the moon. The Old Farmer's Almanac says some Native Americans named the first full moon after strawberries, with June being the perfect time to harvest the sweet fruit. But historians say Europeans coined the term honeymoon, as honey is also harvested in June. The term stuck around because summer is a popular time for couples to get hitched. And don't worry if you can't catch it tonight. The strawberry moon will appear full through Sunday morning. And that is Connecting the Dots.
I've really been looking forward to this one.
Me too. This is exciting.
Whoa! Didn't see that coming.
Quiet, everybody. I'm trying to pay attention.
WCNC Charlotte's weather team is your ticket to being prepared through the winter months and beyond. They're keeping you safer, smarter, and weather aware.
I can't wait for the sequel.
WCNC Charlotte. See the difference.
Go to the forecast. I've already seen you post it, Brad. It seems like that air you can wear is moving in from the coast already.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Myrtle Beach right now, the dew point is 80 degrees, Colin. That is about as high as we've seen. Our all-time record high dew point here in Charlotte is 82. So that should put it in perspective. That is incredibly muggy air. And the heat is going to build throughout the weekend, mid-90s. It'll feel like triple digits. As you mentioned, the air you can wear, that's part of the thing. It's not only the temperature going up, but the dew point. The dew point is the absolute best measure of how much moisture is in the air. It's not relative to the temperature, so it doesn't fluctuate. It gets to a certain level, pretty much stays there. The relative humidity goes up and down throughout the day based on the temperature, so it fluctuates quite a bit. The air you can wear, or that dew point temperature, is definitely going to tell you what it feels like. Little to zero rain chances out there. Now, part of the reason we're seeing that humidity increase and the dew points going up is this little low. It's not developing into anything tropically. It doesn't have a lot of rain with it, but what it is pulling in is tropical moisture. Look at this tropical moisture. You get into these areas where what we call this precipitable water. It's basically how much moisture is in the atmosphere. You see those like kind of salmon shades there and kind of the reds. That is straight out of the tropics, and you can see it moving into the low country of South Carolina, eastern North Carolina. But notice by Sunday and Monday, that starts getting close to Charlotte and the Sandhills. Very, very nasty air, but middle of the week, maybe a brief drying out before more of that air moves back in. So what this is going to do, the dew point's going to jump. I don't think we'll get 80. I think this is a little off the charts, but getting into the 70s, period. Anything above 70 is incredibly muggy and causes a lot of danger. Now, we're not going to see the rainfall, so we're getting the mugginess without the moisture. We are dry across all of the Carolinas, and the reason we're not going to see much moisture is the high pressure over us is pushing down, so it's trapping the moisture near the surface, not allowing for storms to develop. Now, could there be one or two this weekend? There's certainly a tiny chance, 10, maybe 20%. But most of you are going to stay completely dry. So we're getting all the negativity of that moisture, none of the positivity, which would be some rainfall. So these heat domes, you've heard that term a lot. It's not new. It's been around for a long time. We use it in meteorology constantly. It literally is a dome of high pressure. We call these ridges because they're mountains of air. The atmosphere is actually thicker over us when we have these domes of high pressure, but they also push down on us, which compresses the air, heats it up, also causes an inversion, which keeps everything trapped near the surface. You often see poor air quality days, and it also deters thunderstorms from developing. So the rain chances stay negligible the next several days. The heat index and the excessive heat risk increases to major over the weekend, could be extreme for parts of next week. So stay cool out there. Watch out for the young, the old, and again, those with illnesses. And again, the pets. Make sure they're protected as well. Plenty of water and a place to cool off as we're in the low to mid 90s, but it feels even hotter than that. You can see the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. I mean, that period between Sunday and Wednesday, we want you to stay weather aware for the excessive heat because it'll be the hottest period that we've seen so far this year, Colin.
All right, Brad. Thanks for trying to get us prepared here. And there are plenty of ways to beat the heat this weekend. We're talking about WCNC.com with a full list of fun water activities in the Queen City, ranging from community pools to splash pads and even some water parks out there.
Tonight we're learning a Charlotte staple is closing. Floyd's restaurant posting on its website this weekend that it will shut down on June 29th. Floyd's has served the Charlotte community for nearly 40 years. The owner has not said why they're shutting down.
Ever seen a license plate like this while driving? Reddit users in the Charlotte area have been wondering what it means and why someone would use this plate. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg is getting the facts in today's Verify.
Well, this Reddit post has more than 150 shares and comments. The poster asked, has anyone seen this and does anyone know why someone would use this? But we wanted to take it a step further and also ask if it's legal. So let's verify.
Our sources, Attorney Gary Monty, North Carolina Law, Matthews Police PIO Tim Aycock, the DMV, and the UNC School of Government. The plate reads private and has an earth sign on it. When we Googled this, it brought us to Amazon. You can see this license plate for sale is very similar to the one in the picture. On Amazon, it's called a sovereign citizen license plate. The plate also states on it no driver's license or insurance required and not for commerce use or private mode of travel. So what is a sovereign citizen? The UNC School of Government states it's a catch-all phrase referring to a variety of anti-government people and groups. They adhere to a view that the existing American government structure, including court and law enforcement, is illegitimate, and they retain individual common law exempting them from the authority of government institutions. The UNC School of Government says it's common for someone who considers themselves a sovereign citizen to issue their own driver's license and vehicle tags. But is it legal to drive with one of these license plates?
You have to have an active license tag with current registration on your car, or else you're going to get in more trouble than for obscuring the tag. That'll be a bigger ticket.
North Carolina law also states you cannot cover up or obscure your registration or license plate, or else you could get a ticket.
You're supposed to have your tag properly displayed, and that would not be a proper display of the tag.
In an email, Officer Aycock told us, no, these plates are not legal. Plates would have to be state issued. The DMV gives a list of alternative plates that are allowed, but this plate is not on the list. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
And if you have something you would like verified, just email us at verify@wcnc.com.
At WCNC Charlotte, we believe it is crucial to make a difference in our communities.
That's why we go beyond just reporting the news. We ask, where's the money to hold the powerful accountable and get money back into your pockets?
Our Verify team takes claims, finds sources, and gets you answers.
And we're keeping you weather aware, making you safer and smarter.
I'm Vanessa Rufus.
And I'm Colin Mayfield. Join us weeknights at 5, 6, and 11 and see the difference for yourself.
Only on WCNC Charlotte.
Tonight, a long-awaited food hall is now open in Pineville.
As WCNC Charlotte's Jane Monreal shows us, the innovative space not only celebrates Asian cuisine, but also provides a platform for some first-time business owners asking, where's the money?
So the concept of the food hall is kind of a street alley.
It's the kind of street alley you might stumble across while traveling overseas, where mouth-watering aromas fill the air.
We have Korea, Japan, China, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, all sorts.
Peter Hahn is the visionary behind Alley 51.
Can I get the first one?
The 51 comes from Highway 51, also known as Pineville Matthews Road.
Roast pork, and then Szechuan stir-fry noodles.
Hahn says Alley 51 was born in part from the pandemic's challenges.
So during the pandemic, we noticed an increase in our visibility of customers, so we wanted to share that visibility back with local restaurateurs who may have been struggling from the shutdown and were a little bit hesitant into expanding their business.
And like many of the bustling street alleys in other countries,
Asian supporting Asian business.
Hahn says the tenants of Alley 51 are busy, but he's also quick to add they're grateful to finally be up and running almost 3 years after inception.
When I was sourcing the tenants, I really focused on a mixture of franchises, local business owners, and first-time business owners who really wanted to showcase the authenticity of whichever cuisine they're representing.
Oh, that food is making me look hungry. Looking at what's next, Hahn says based on the growing interest in international cuisine, they have plans to open a large full-service restaurant. Guys, I know it's for dinner.
Yeah. You got everybody's attention, and that place has been swamped.
Yeah, I was there a couple weekends back. And
yeah.
There's a lot of options to try and a lot of people wanting to try the options.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's great that people are learning about new cultures.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Jay.
Right now, there are so many pleas for help online from folks who find an injured or abandoned wild animal and don't know how to help it.
Carolina Wildlife Conservation Center, they do so much for folks and animals like that. WCNC's Larry Sprinkle recently stepped in to see this one-of-a-kind animal sanctuary.
If you found a wild animal in need of help, you bring it to the Carolina Wildlife Conservation Center right here in Lincoln County, about 45 minutes from Charlotte.
In addition to her nonstop duties, founder and executive director Morgan Raphael answers a lot of timely questions like, how do you handle what appears to be an abandoned fawn?
We say if you care, leave it there. So mothers intentionally leave their babies bedded down so predators don't find them. So normally a baby fawn left alone, the mother is close by, and you should just leave it where it is.
People from all across the Carolinas bring into the center sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife.
Yeah, they bring the animal inside with them and they fill out the form on the computer. We get all the information from them and then we come up and meet them and talk about the animal and then take them back with us. So we rehab and release native mammals and reptiles. So people bring us injured, orphaned, and sick animals and we take care of them and we release them back into the wild.
From tiny turtles to tiny possums, yes, they're sweet and they're very soft.
And I hold their face because it helps them latch better. It helps them feel safer with their eyes covered.
They have a complete medical facility for the rescues.
So we weigh them, we can do minor procedures ourselves, we can do full surgeries with a vet, and we do x-rays, so it's the best way we can know what's actually happening with the animal.
The rescued wildlife, like this beautiful red fox, are given very safe, natural, and comfortable recovery areas.
This year, over 800 animals' lives have been saved, and in the past 5 years, over 10,000. At the Carolina Wildlife Conservation Center, Larry Sprinkle, back to you.
Now, the center doesn't get any state or local aid. It is run solely on the generosity of fellow animal lovers. You can find a link to donate on our website, WCNC.com.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
The weather affects everything you do outside, including boating. Let's raise that weather IQ. I'm gonna need a bigger boat. We're here at Freedom Boat Club, right here on Lake Wiley, and Captain Ben and crew says they're ready to get us out on the water. Let's go! When you're the captain of your ship, well, I'm not the captain, he's the captain, you need to be weather aware when you're out in the water.
That's right, Chris. Yeah, you want to make sure you're watching a radar at all times. You know, things can go bad really quickly out here. Keep an eye on the skies, keep an eye on your phone, look at that radar app. It's perfect.
You know, speaking of, the WCNC Charlotte app is a great tool to bring with you out in the boat because it has live radar. But try not to drop your phone. Oh no, that was my wife's phone. And when you're having a blast in the boat, you might forget one crucial thing. While out in the water, you're more likely to burn than beached on land, so make sure to have plenty of sunscreen.
And why is that? Well, the water reflects about 10% of the sun's rays.
It's called albedo, and that's the reflectivity of surfaces that could reflect that sun right back at you. And don't underestimate a cloudy day. It could burn you just as much. In my career, I've seen many thunderstorms form over the lake. One early on in my career actually blew the boats from their docks. Also, lightning's attracted to water, making you more of a target. So whenever you hear thunder, I would race for the docks. Because when a storm be brewing, your seas will become angry. I don't know how to tie knots. And as Captain Ben tells us, if you can feel the wind, it's going to affect the way the boat drives.
You can notice a difference with just 5 to 10 miles an hour of wind. You know, I don't think you can feel anything below about 5 miles an hour, but if you can feel it, it's affecting the way that your boat's driving.
But the most important thing is have fun while being safe, and of course know what the weather's going to do. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy with another Weather IQ.
Tonight, new efforts to break the cycle of recidivism. Well, we've reported on attempts to get inmates connected to resources outside of jail.
And now some are trying to get folks more chances to turn their lives around while on the inside. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard has this exclusive look at how officials are seeking solutions.
When residents are preparing to leave this detention center, one of the biggest questions asked is, what's next? That's why the sheriff is working to give folks a head start while inside these pods.
For some,
Sitting in a cell comes at a price.
It hits a lot of people.
One that's too expensive to pay.
The depression, it's in every dorm.
A body fighting to survive, a mind trying not to die.
Whether guys want to talk about it or not, you know, it's always there.
Sergio Salazar is currently incarcerated. He says the pains of imprisonment can get even worse for inmates looking to re-enter society, with fear that the lack of resources will land them right back in a cell.
Well, everybody talks about recidivism, but nobody has a solution. Everybody talking about reducing crime, but nobody has a solution.
Sheriff McFadden says the detention center is offering inmates a way to restore opportunities, allowing them to become entrepreneurs while sitting in a jail cell.
But how about you have your own established licensed company when you leave? That's rare. You have your better credit score, you have better mental health, you have a website, and you have an actual authorized legal LLC.
Sergio is just one of the recent grads of the Next Great 50, a program that allows him to dream beyond the four walls.
So I decided to go with a dog training business. I'm gonna be honest with you, I broke down. I was like, this is happening. Like, this is really happening.
To the system, he's inmate 506136.
And then when I got that letter of existence and seeing the name of my business.
His name, not a number.
I was like, that's it, okay.
A new beginning with his two boys watching.
Want to show them that no matter in what position, situation you're in, whether it's negative or positive, you always got to look at the silver lining.
For Sergio,
so
priceless. Now, there are two classes that are currently in progress and are set to graduate next month. Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Tradisha Woodard.
Well, WCNC Charlotte is always looking to highlight how our community is tackling local problems. Let us know what you're seeing in your neighborhood. You can email us at newstips@wcnc.com.
Connect the dots and let us clear up the confusion. We're here to make sure the news makes sense. And with Connect the Dots, you'll understand how the headlines impact your family. See the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
A recent AARP survey found 1 in 5 Americans ages 50 and older have no retirement savings. It's got many of them asking, where's the money? WCNC Charlotte's Nick Sturdivant joining us now with more on how people can get ahead and start that savings.
That survey, more than 25% of adults who are not yet retired say they expect to never retire, so they don't think they need retirement savings. However, experts say it's never too late to start saving.
Time is your best friend when it comes to growing your money.
A recent survey by AARP found 61% of adults ages 50 and older don't think they'll have enough money to last in retirement. Indira Van Cutt, the Senior Vice President of Research at AARP, says there are several reasons for that.
One of the barriers is access to retirement accounts at work. In fact, half of the private sector workforce, that's 57 million, do not have the option to save via a paycheck.
Another is higher prices for almost everything.
Although inflation has cooled in the recent past, the lingering effects of higher prices they're seeing in the grocery store, either at the pump. And then there's also housing costs, be it mortgage or rents, they have gone up. And so all of these collectively are chipping away at people's ability to save.
So how can you start saving? Van Cutt says if you have access to a 401k at work, take full advantage of it.
At least contribute to the max that you get the most out of the employer match, because that essentially is free money.
If you don't have access to a 401k, there are still ways to put money away.
Look at investment options. Again, this is very individualized. You need to be educated about it. But the notion of putting away and, consciously setting aside the money, and if it helps, name the account so that it motivates you.
As far as how much you should be saving each month,
does depend on what you want to do and, the lifestyle you wish to have in retirement, right? So I think that's where planning becomes important. What is that goal? Set it. set the plan, and then be intentional.
AARP offers resources to help with saving for retirement. You can find those on our website, WCNC.com. Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Nick Sturdivant.
Well, let's Welcome back to Flashpoint. Charlotte's real estate market remains hot right now, and inventory in our area now at a 5-year high. But realtors warn it's a changing market for buyers and sellers. Here's Ben Thompson.
All right, joining us now is David Hoffman with David Hoffman Realty. Thanks for coming on Flashpoint. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So summer, obviously the hottest time in real estate, no matter the year. I think that's the trend that sort of stays through the years. But what's the current state of the Charlotte real estate market?
Absolutely, Ben. We're in a unique situation right now. It's kind of wonky in the fact that if the home is flawless, it looks gorgeous inside and out, curb appeal, and there's no inventory, no competition in the neighborhood, it's selling fast, it's selling for top dollar, even above market value. But Ben, if the home needs any work whatsoever, or if there's any competition, the buyer has no appetite for sweat equity because rates are so high, and the buyer loves options, and so they do nothing. They just wait for prices to fall.
So far different than it was, say, 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, absolutely. 2-3 years ago during the pandemic through 2022, you put a home on the market, no matter how high it was like Oprah to the seller. You get an offer, you get an offer, you get an offer. Didn't matter the condition, didn't matter the value. An $800,000 home was going for double. A $500,000 home was going for $750,000, $800,000. People were giving 6-figure due diligence. They didn't have to do work, and there was no competition.
Yeah. Far different now. Zillow predicted that this would be, Charlotte market would be one of the busiest, hottest real estate markets in the country this year. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes and no. You know, whenever we hear that a market is hot, Charlotte, Nashville, Raleigh, Tampa, there's truth to it, but we have to be sensitive to where the buyers are coming from. And so Charlotte's only as strong as New York and New Jersey. It's only as strong as the Rust Belt and California. So as those markets start to simmer down and cool off, what happens, Ben, is we have less buyers here.
Gotcha.
Because it's such a transient market.
It is. And how are interest rates impacting things?
Last year was tougher than this year with interest rates. Interest rates have still stayed high 6s, low 7s, but the sticker shock is kind of worn off. Last year, Ben, no one was buying anything. The home had to be flawless and had to be priced right. This year, if it's flawless, it could be priced a little bit higher because people are used to the higher rates, but there's still a lot of people that even if they want the home, if they can't afford it, if the payment's too high, if the income to debt ratio doesn't work out, they just can't move. There's also the element of, I want to move, I want to upsize, I want to downsize, I had a child, I got married, I'm moving, but I've got a 2.8% rate.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a 7% rate. It's like an asset that you're giving away for free.
That's why so many people are. That's why so many people are staying put.
That's probably the number one reason is that 2.8% rate going.
You don't want to give that up.
I don't want to give that up.
I don't want to give that up. I think I got 2.6 at one point. Like I'm not giving that up.
Yeah, that's like an asset that if you can do an assumable rate, like loan for someone, you could probably get 6 figures for your 2.6% rate.
Right.
And that's why people are moving. It's kind of like giving away a car that's paid free and clear.
So I know it's never as simple as saying a buyer's market or a seller's market, but how would you describe the current market?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, you said it well. It's not either.
Yeah.
It's a seller's market in, it's all location, right? So if the community has no inventory and you put your house on the market and it's flawless, you need both.
Yeah.
Because even with no competition, if it needs work, you're not good. Then it's still a seller's market. But if the home needs work, or if it's in a community where homes are sitting, then you're in a buyer's market. So for buyers that don't mind doing the work after close, making the upgrades, doing it their way, they can get a great deal. And for the seller who's put a lot of money in, TLC into their house, they can still sell above market value. So we're kind of in both right now. And I think we're moving towards a buyer's market once rates start falling down.
What do you tell folks, customers who come up to you and ask you, how do you describe the inventory out there right now?
Inventory is at a 5-year high. 2020, there was nothing because no one was leaving their house with the pandemic. 2021, slightly higher. 2022, a little bit higher. Last year, it started going up, but still rates have kept it low, Ben, because people don't want to move. To your point, you and I don't want to sell with a 2.6, 2.8% rate. But inventory is going up, one, because the sticker shock of high rates is wearing off, but two, some people just have to move. They put it off long enough. They put it off long enough and they can't wait any longer.
I see headlines and stories about people who are buying with cash versus financing. Is that really happening a lot, and how is it affecting things?
It is happening a lot. Last year more than this year, but still this year more than we've ever seen before. It's happening for a couple of reasons. One, when you're paying 7% for a rate, you're thinking, I was only getting 8% of my money. I might as well just not take out a mortgage. Or I was only getting 5% of my money. I save money by not taking out a mortgage. The stock market's really high right now, Ben, and so people have pulled their money out of the stock market, and a lot of people have had dry powder for a long time. They're like, you know what, I'll put it into the house. I'll put it into buying the house. I'll put it into the renovations instead of borrowing. Where it's affected the market is they're getting the best deal. So if a buyer has cash and they can close quick and the seller's been seeing their home get stagnant, or maybe the home needs work, the buyer with cash doesn't mind the work because they're not borrowing it.
Sure.
You know, they can make it their way.
So what do you say to first-time home buyers right now?
If the first-time home buyer can wait, or if they're looking in an area with a lot of competition, or if they have the appetite for doing some work after they close, I'm not very handy.
Yeah.
If a first-time home buyer is handy, then go make a lowball offer, but customize the terms that matter most to the seller so you can get the price down to the bottom, because money's not everything. Most people, they want peace of mind. They don't need the money. So if they can do the work after close, Ben, buy now. If they can't, then just wait, because they shouldn't pay a premium. What happens a lot of times is first-time home buyers find the home that looks gorgeous. It doesn't need anything. They don't have a large down payment or a lot of reserves, so they buy the home that doesn't need work. And still in this market, that's still a seller's market.
Yeah.
So the buyer needs to either wait until prices come down further, because they will fall further before rates drop. See, we're kind of this chicken or the egg. A lot of people are waiting for rates to fall, but rates won't fall until prices fall.
Sure.
And when prices fall, people are going to want to buy, but that's a sell, but now they're selling at a lower price.
I know real estate's your game, but you also see a lot of apartments still popping up all across the city of Charlotte, unlike really almost any other market. And in some cases, the rent has come down slightly at months. Do you make the case, or could you make the case that in some cases makes more sense for people to rent right now?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, even though we do a lot on the real estate sales side, it's whatever's best for each person. And when rates come down, it makes more sense than to buy. When interest rates come down, when rental rates come down, you rent. When interest rates come down, you buy.
So where do you see things going? I know beyond summer things change, but the rest of this year specifically?
More of the same. You know, we're going to see inventory pick up as we go into the fall and then winter. We're going to see prices fall as sellers say, I have to move. And then next year, we're going to see rates fall. We're going to see the short-term rate fall as inflation dissipates. And we're going to see the long-term rate on mortgages fall as applications go down, supply picks up, and buyers sit on the sidelines. So next year, I see prices lower and more buyers get off the fence.
Gotcha. All right. David Hoffman with David Hoffman Realty. Thanks for coming on. Very helpful. Nice to see you. Nice
to
for
see you,
coming on.
Ben.
All right.
Go to the forecast. I've already seen you post it, Brad. It seems like that air you can wear is moving in from the coast already.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Myrtle Beach right now, the dew point is 80 degrees, Colin. That is about as high as we've seen. Our all-time record high dew point here in Charlotte is 82. So that should put it in perspective. That is incredibly muggy air. And the heat is going to build throughout the weekend. Mid-90s, it'll feel like triple digits. As you mentioned, the air you can wear, that's part of the thing. It's not only the temperature going up, but the dew point. The dew point is the absolute best measure of how much moisture is in the air. It's not relative to the temperature, so it doesn't fluctuate. It gets to a certain level, pretty much stays there. The relative humidity goes up and down throughout the day based on the temperature. So it fluctuates quite a bit. The air you can wear, or that dew point temperature, is definitely going to tell you what it feels like. Little to zero rain chances out there. Now, part of the reason we're seeing that humidity increase and the dew points going up is this little low. It's not developing into anything tropically. It doesn't have a lot of rain with it, but what it is pulling in is tropical moisture. Look at this tropical moisture. You get into these areas where what we call this precipitable water. It's basically how much moisture is in the atmosphere. You see those like kind of salmon shades there and kind of the reds. That is straight out of the tropics. And you could see it moving into the low country of South Carolina, eastern North Carolina. But notice by Sunday and Monday, that starts getting close to Charlotte and the Sandhills. Very, very nasty air, but middle of the week, maybe a brief drying out before more of that air moves back in. So what this is going to do, the dew point's going to jump. I don't think we'll get 80. I think this is a little off the charts, but getting into the 70s, period. Anything above 70 is incredibly muggy and causes a lot of danger. Now, we're not going to see the rainfall, so we're getting the mugginess without the moisture. We are dry across all of the Carolinas, and the reason we're not going to see much moisture is the high pressure over us is pushing down, so it's trapping the moisture near the surface, not allowing for storms to develop. Now, could there be 1 or 2 this weekend? There's certainly a tiny chance, 10, maybe 20%. But most of you are going to stay completely dry. So we're getting all the negativity of that moisture, none of the positivity, which would be some rainfall. So these heat domes, you've heard that term a lot. It's not new. It's been around for a long time. We use it in meteorology constantly. It literally is a dome of high pressure. We call these ridges because they're mountains of air. The atmosphere is actually thicker over us when we have these domes of high pressure, but they also push down on us, which compresses the air, heats it up, also causes an inversion, which keeps everything trapped near the surface. You often see poor air quality days, and it also deters thunderstorms from developing. So the rain chances stay negligible the next several days. The heat index and the excessive heat risk increases to major over the weekend, could be extreme for parts of next week. So stay cool out there. Watch out for the young, the old, and again, those with illnesses. And again, the pets. Make sure they're protected as well. Plenty of water and a place to cool off as we're in the low to mid 90s, but it feels even hotter than that. You can see the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. I mean, that period between Sunday and Wednesday, we want you to stay weather aware for the excessive heat because it'll be the hottest period that we've seen so far this year, Colin.
All right, Brad. Thanks for trying to get us prepared here. And there are plenty of ways to beat the heat this weekend. We're talking about WCNC.com with a full list of fun water activities in the Queen City, ranging from community pools to splash pads and even some water parks out there. Charlotte remains one of the hottest markets in the country, but consider this. Hundreds of people are filing complaints every year in North Carolina accusing real estate agents of misrepresenting critical details of the homes that they are selling.
A WCNC Charlotte viewer alerted us to this problem after we exposed how a tax office overcalculated a retired couple's square footage, and that forced them to unknowingly pay too much in property taxes for years.
Tonight in our latest Where's the Money investigation, WCNC Charlotte's Nate Morabito discovered people are calling out real estate agents for the same thing.
She'll be scared.
Rocky River Plantation.
It's okay.
Has a new neighbor.
This is Tobby.
But if Lenny DeVito,
he's about 4 months old,
had his way, his daughter would now live in his Harrisburg neighborhood too.
She would have been up the street.
The dad and grandpa wanted to buy this nearby house and fix it up so his daughter's family could move in.
It's unfair. I mean,
instead, he says the actions of the broker who sold the home.
We talked to her and numerous neighbors talked to her and told her the square footage was way off by almost 250 square feet.
Essentially priced him out of the market.
I wasn't going to put a bid on a house that's way overpriced because of the high square footage.
Having spent time inside the house before, DeVito says he knew the selling agent listed the wrong square footage.
I think it was $1,756 she put it up for initially.
The home sold to an investment company in July 2023, a firm that renovated and then asked the same real estate agent to relist the property in September, again with the wrong square footage. Angry, DeVito filed a formal complaint with the North Carolina Real Estate Commission.
The public needs to know.
It's all about the public and wanting to protect the public.
Janet Thorin is legal counsel for the state agency in charge of real estate oversight.
It is important that if a broker is going to advertise the square footage, that they be accurate.
She says the state has clear guidelines for square footage. For one, sellers should not rely on tax records because they are often unreliable. Thorin estimates almost half of the 1,900 complaints the NCREC receives in a year are for misrepresentation, and wrong square footage is often high on the list. She says there are different levels of punishment depending on the facts of the case, whether it's negligent or intentional, and if it's a repeat violation.
If an agent proves to be unreliable or unwilling to improve, then we're going to start looking at harsher sanctions.
In the case of DeVito's complaint,
it's just a shame that the Real Estate Commission won't hold a realtor accountable.
The first time he complained, the agency found no wrongdoing, but he's persistent. After pushing back, the state reopened the case and earlier this year concluded the broker twice failed to take sufficient steps to verify the accuracy of the listed measurement. The NCREC closed the case without any disciplinary action, but warned her to exercise greater care in future listings.
I think it's a slap on the hands.
Records list the broker as Ellen Christine Thomas of R&E Venture LLC. We gave her the chance to talk with us on camera about this situation. Instead, she emailed us this statement. Thomas told us she believes the market drove the selling price, not the square footage, noting a quick, full-price offer followed by 3 upset bids. She also says she measured the home numerous times and adjusted the listing upon her findings, but ended saying, "I accept and adhere to the findings of the commission."
But it's still like 221 square feet over.
DeVito isn't as accepting. He says even when she updated the square footage, she still got it wrong.
Yeah, the house is vacant now. The renter just moved out.
For him, the end result is all the same.
Yeah, it would have been really nice.
His daughter and her family,
they were disappointed,
now live much farther away. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
So if you are buying or selling a piece of property and encounter issues with a broker, the North Carolina Real Estate Commission is urging you to file a formal complaint. You see the QR code on your screen. If you can scan that, it'll take you to our article here. There, not only will you find more of our coverage, but also a link where you can fill out the form yourself.
Alrighty, we're coming up on 6:08 as you're getting up for the day, and we're turning to a trending story. Good Monday morning. We're talking about your travel habits today. We've got yet another ranked list for you. This time researchers are looking at which states are most likely to commit some more offensive travel habits. Now we'll see where the Carolinas rank in just a moment, but here's what writers are measuring. It's habits like reclining your seat without asking, maybe overindulging on those adult beverages, or leaving trash in the back of your seat rather than just tossing it in the trash can. They all lead up to how each state is going to score. Now turning now to where the Carolinas land on this naughty or nice list. We're going to start with North Carolina. It comes in at number 9. This is for states with the least bad behavior. So it's a pretty positive score, but our neighbors down south have a bit of a different story. South Carolina is in the top 15 for worst airport behavior in the country. More on methodology, the survey asked residents in every state about the behaviors that they've witnessed and the habits that they're guilty of themselves. It's why we're bringing the question to you this morning. What is your travel pet peeve? And it doesn't have to be for catching flights either. Think about the things people do during road trips, maybe public transit. Make sure you text in your top travel grievances at 704-329-3600.
Right now at 5:30, a touted tactic for people looking to hold themselves financially accountable. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Colin Mayfield.
And I'm Vanessa Rufus. As WCNC Charlotte's Jane Monreal shows us, some are taking their financial blueprints to another level by loud budgeting. This is so they're not left asking, where's the money?
Loud budgeting. What is it?
You're expressing your goals to other people.
Financial expert Mark Henry of Alloy Wealth says the idea behind that is twofold. One, to hold yourself more accountable, but also so others can help you as well.
The idea that maybe like when they ask you, hey, let's go out to dinner this weekend. Well, you're not being rude to say no. They already know you're trying to control your budget.
Henry says being clear about what you want to accomplish, like becoming debt-free, is a reachable goal if you control the dollars you do have. As far as how long it takes to reach your goal, Henry says it depends.
How much debt do we have? How much do we have an emergency fund already? How much credit card debt do we have? What are we trying to accomplish? And then that's going to be the timeline.
Henry says first priority should be to have an emergency fund, enough to cover 6 months worth of expenses, because that is your financial safety net. Just remember, with financial literacy comes power, so you can make informed decisions. Back to you.
Tonight, a new trend is emerging as Charlotte's real estate market leaves many asking, where's the money?
At WCNC Charlotte's Jane Monreal joining us now to explain. Jane, this trend is allowing people to find their dream home in some of the most sought out parts of town, really?
Yeah, that's right. They're getting a little creative. But instead of the traditional single family homes, more people in Charlotte are opting for multi-family or duet-style homes. We spoke with a local realtor who explained why more people are choosing these styles of homes.
A typical duet-style home is, it kind of appears from the street as like a single family, but there's two sides of it.
Kate Torigno, realtor with Corcoran HM Properties, says you can expect to see more of these styled homes popping up in areas like Myers Park, Dilworth, and South Park.
I think aesthetically it's pleasing, right, versus having a ton of townhomes or something like that, and it kind of fits in with the neighborhood.
With more people moving to Charlotte, Torigno says the housing market is going to become even tighter. This means people will need to become creative when it comes to finding an affordable home.
It enables you to kind of get into a place in town where prices are just kind of skyrocketing, and we're finding it harder and harder and harder to kind of relocate people here as the city grows.
As you move further away from the city, Torigno says she's seeing more people purchasing large acres of land.
And maybe have a few houses for, people down the road or in-laws or whatever that may be.
She believes the pandemic could be the driving force behind this trend.
I think lifestyles have changed, honestly, after COVID, and what work looks like has changed, right? Like a lot of the big banks went back and people work from home a couple of days a week. And I think as COVID kind of changed that for a lot of people, they've kind of reevaluated where they want to be, what that looks like for them.
Knowledgeable realtor who understands the market and can help you figure out your options. So that might include a duet home. Living with the in-laws, Colin.
Yes. Hey. Or hey, you better like your neighbor, right? Either way.
Right.
Maybe the in-laws would be a better pick. That'd be a better choice. Thanks, Jane. You're welcome.
Storms are on the horizon.
Stay weather aware with WCNC Charlotte.
From heat waves to hurricanes.
It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. A lot more storms and a lot more wind on the way.
WCNC Charlotte keeps you informed.
We also have those rain chances increasing as well.
Oh my gosh, you can see it rotating.
Stay ahead of the storm.
Some winds even 80 miles per hour.
When it comes to weather, knowledge is your best defense. See the difference only on WCNC Charlotte.
At 5:30, we appreciate you sticking with us. I'm Colin Mayfield.
And I'm Vanessa Rufus. This is this horrific situation that we talked about with Gio. It's just one of many drownings in recent weeks. And WCNC's Anna King is joining us as some instructors are now seeking solutions to stop this trend. Anna.
That's right. I'm here at the Big Blue Swim School here in Concord, and instructors told me they chose this location because of the influx of people moving to the area to be next to the water, but say so many people have not taken swim lessons. And instructors here, as well as those in the area, say that scary moment can happen to anyone, but there are steps you can take to hopefully prevent it.
Doesn't matter if they're 6, 16, 26. Everybody is at risk for drowning.
It's a matter of life or death.
The unfortunate reality is kids and adults, we die around water. It's 1 in 4 drowning deaths every single year are kids, almost 400 kids every single year.
But there's a preventative measure. Big Blue Swim School just opened their doors in Concord, and they say the location was a no-brainer.
Why do people move to North Carolina? Because we've got beautiful lakes and beautiful lake houses. And they want their kids to grow up at the lake swimming, but if we don't know how to swim, it's kind of a big problem.
This week alone, they have had a whopping 2,500 lessons scheduled, when the typical number is 600. Swim instructors across the state say these lessons provide a level of training that attendees can then use outside of class to prevent these incidents.
It's life-changing, life-saving. It's a life skill that you have. Parents are going to be around the water. Children are going to be around in the water for their whole lives.
Because when those scary incidents occur, they can look different.
Struggling, dipping under the water, submerging, of course, waving their arms in the air.
And sometimes undetectable.
I've seen other kids get 6 inches too deep in water, their feet don't touch anymore, and they just slip under the surface.
And the instructors here told me for anyone going around the water to make sure there is someone watching the swimmer, and also let any lifeguards or instructors know if your child struggles with swimming. For now, here live in Concord, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
And I mean, from what I've seen, you can start kids super young, super early on those swim lessons.
As soon as instructors are willing to do so.
Indeed. Anna, thank you so much. And we want to mention that safety can start with picking the right swimsuit color as well. In case you missed that verify piece, you can actually check that out right now on WCNC.com. You can look for it under our featured section.
Time now to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense, it's the first official day of summer, and this year we are celebrating sooner than usual.
The last time the summer solstice was this early, George Washington was president. Let's connect the dots. The summer solstice is usually on June 21st, but this year it'll occur today at 4:50. That's when the sun will be at its highest point in the sky all year long. The sun hasn't peaked this early in 228 years. The last time it happened was June 20th, 1796, when the U.S. only had 16 states. The early date is due to how we mark the solstice on our calendars. The solstice usually occurs 3 weeks after meteorological summer, which was June 1st. The summer solstice also marks the longest day of the year, which means daylight will only get shorter from here until fall. And that is connecting the dots.
Go to the forecast. I've already seen you post it, Brad. It seems like that air you can wear is moving in from the coast already.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Myrtle Beach right now, the dew point is 80 degrees, Colin. That is about as high as we've seen. Our all-time record high dew point here in Charlotte is 82. So that should put it in perspective. That is incredibly muggy air. And the heat is going to build throughout the weekend. Mid-90s, it'll feel like triple digits. As you mentioned, the air you can wear, that's part of the thing. It's not only the temperature going up, but the dew point. The dew point is the absolute best measure of how much moisture is in the air. It's not relative to the temperature, so it doesn't fluctuate. It gets to a certain level, pretty much stays there. The relative humidity goes up and down throughout the day based on the temperature. So it fluctuates quite a bit. The air you can wear, or that dew point temperature, is definitely going to tell you what it feels like. Little to zero rain chances out there. Now, part of the reason we're seeing that humidity increase and the dew points going up is this little low. It's not developing into anything tropically. It doesn't have a lot of rain with it, but what it is pulling in is tropical moisture. Look at this tropical moisture. You get into these areas where what we call this precipitable water. It's basically how much moisture is in the atmosphere. You see those like kind of salmon shades there and kind of the reds. That is straight out of the tropics, and you could see it moving into the low country of South Carolina, eastern North Carolina. But notice by Sunday and Monday, that starts getting close to Charlotte and the Sandhills. Very, very nasty air, but middle of the week, maybe a brief drying out before more of that air moves back in. So what this is going to do, the dew point's going to jump. I don't think we'll get 80. I think this is a little off the charts, but getting into the 70s, period. Anything above 70 is incredibly muggy and causes a lot of danger. Now, we're not going to see the rainfall, so we're getting the mugginess without the moisture. We are dry across all of the Carolinas, and the reason we're not going to see much moisture is the high pressure over us is pushing down, so it's trapping the moisture near the surface, not allowing for storms to develop. Now, could there be 1 or 2 this weekend? There's certainly a tiny chance, 10, maybe 20%. But most of you are going to stay completely dry. So we're getting all the negativity of that moisture, none of the positivity, which would be some rainfall. So these heat domes, you've heard that term a lot. It's not new. It's been around for a long time. We use it in meteorology constantly. It literally is a dome of high pressure. We call these ridges because they're mountains of air. The atmosphere is actually thicker over us when we have these domes of high pressure, but they also push down on us, which compresses the air, heats it up, also causes an inversion, which keeps everything trapped near the surface. You often see poor air quality days, and it also deters thunderstorms from developing. So the rain chances stay negligible the next several days. The heat index and the excessive heat risk increases to major over the weekend, could be extreme for parts of next week. So stay cool out there. Watch out for the young, the old, and again, those with illnesses. And again, the pets. Make sure they're protected as well. Plenty of water and a place to cool off as we're in the low to mid 90s, but it feels even hotter than that. You can see the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. I mean, that period between Sunday and Wednesday, we want you to stay weather aware for the excessive heat because it'll be the hottest period that we've seen so far this year, Colin.
All right, Brad. Thanks for trying to get us prepared here. And there are plenty of ways to beat the heat this weekend. We're talking about WCNC.com with a full list of fun water activities in the Queen City. ranging from community pools to splash pads and even some water parks out there.
What's near me? If you're out and see news, open the WCNC News app and go to Near Me on the bottom right. Then tap Share with Us. Upload your photo or video and tell us about it. Hit Submit and your news has reached our team at WCNC Charlotte.
Yeah.
Good Friday morning.
We are
Y'all, we
made
made
it.
it through a week. Now we're missing about half the crew. It's just us today.
It's too hot to be here.
It's too hot to be here. You know what I've noticed? Even the studio is slightly like warmer.
Oh,
it's usually freezing.
Normally people complain, it's so cold in here.
Yes,
It's warm.
I haven't complained.
Outside temperatures going up steadily. In fact, as we get into the weekend, we get into the dangerous situation with the heat index temperatures way up there, anywhere from about 100, 105. Heat index, that's the primary reason we're going to be talking about this, what's called a heat dome in the upper atmosphere. I mean, high pressure is sinking air, and this, when it's a heat dome, it's several days, even sometimes weeks of air that expands, it bulges out and covers a great deal of the nation. Even in the southwest, Phoenix, Arizona is going to have a high temperature of 117 today.
Oh, my goodness.
That's not heat index, that's the actual air temperature. This weekend, how it's going to feel here in our area, heat indices, the actual, how it feels outside, 100 to 104 degrees. So really, it's a dangerous situation if you're outdoors this weekend. Temperatures way above average from Saturday, tomorrow, all the way to the middle of next week. Couple days there, Monday and Wednesday, where the temperatures are up almost 10 degrees above average. That's a pretty dangerous situation. Here's the actual high temperatures as we go through the weekend into next week. I'll say, for the most part, mid to upper 90s. Those little bitty temperatures Thursday and Friday, that's still above average.
A little bit.
It's like, what's going on over there? But yes, definitely for the weekend, a time to stay inside as we have a high heat risk all the way across the Charlotte metro area right into the middle of next week. It's been a while. It's certainly been a while since we've seen anything like this. So we're talking about excessive heat risk Sunday and Monday particularly. But I would really say through the weekend all the way into next week, if you have to be outside, make sure you're hydrated. And, you know, you think about there may be people in your neighborhood, elderly people that don't have air conditioning.
Right.
Make sure you check on them. Make sure the pets have a cool spot and some cool water, something we need to think about. And then here we go. The heat index temperatures, how it feels outside. Gosh, 103 on Sunday, Monday 104. Really impressive.
And that's flirting with heat advisory criteria.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't issue. National Weather Service doesn't do that this week.
And sometimes they'll only do Mecklenburg County because we have what's called the urban heat islands. So just where you have a lot of pavement and everything like that, it doesn't cool off as much as, say, out in the more rural locations. And those maps that Larry was showing was an experimental heat map that they have now for the National Weather Service, and it has actually parts of Mecklenburg County under that extreme level just because it could be at that 105.
We could go back to that. Just want to point out once again that we don't normally see this where you have about 4 days with the heat index over 100 degrees. That's exceptionally hot. Let's talk about the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Today in the low 90s, tomorrow mid-90s, and there you go. You see highlighted in red that those days of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, excessive heat. And those were really going to be dangerous. As far as rain chances, you get the little pop-ups here and there, Sunday and Monday, and I think better chance we could see some rain, which we definitely need. It's awful dry for this. Really dry. For the month of June.
Yeah, it's not good because every Thursday the drought monitor comes out, and the most recent update hasn't been fantastic. So let's go back in the past, shall we? Over the last 2 months, April we had the yellow, which represents just abnormally dry conditions. Once you got to about this time in May, notice that pretty much all the Carolinas were free of any sort of drought because it rained a lot in May. May was in the top 10 for the wettest on record. But then notice what's happened over the last couple of weeks. It's flourished, where this is a significant increase. Now, North Carolina, 65% of the state under abnormally dry status. However, that's a 61% increase.
That's a lot.
Oh, wow. That's too much. And we're in the midst of what's called a flash drought. So pretty much instead of a slow, gradual drought, since since we've been so hot and so dry in such a quick time frame, all the rain that we saw in May doesn't matter, because it's also this time of the year that all those plants that are growing are using up a lot of the moisture in the soil. So it's better off that it actually takes a lot more rain for us to get back to normal. So I want to show you one of these maps that came out. Oh, I forgot this graphic comes next. Never mind. Well, we had over 23 inches of rain so far this year, close to 3 inches above normal. And then, as I mentioned, May had over 7 inches. That's why this is so crazy. But June has only had an inch of rain. In June, since it is so much warmer, we do need a little bit more rain. So that 1.6 inch difference compared to the normal. And now if you add today's rain that we need, it'd be close to 1.8. But you need at least 3 to 4 inches to not only catch up what we missed, but also make up for what is upcoming. So that's really over the next month. We would need at least 3 to 4 inches, but realistically, it's 5, 6, but not all at once, because if it's all at once, it's going to run off. But Larry, you had already mentioned your rain chances. This was not the 10-day forecast a week ago. So at least we're seeing a better chance that maybe a thunderstorm could try to alleviate things. Before, it was just dry and hot.
You know, quite often what does help us in these situations is those tropical systems. So if we get anything tropical to come closer to us, then we could get some much of the rain. But then
we're wishing for
you get too much at one time.
Yeah, so.
Like that, so.
Well, hopefully it'll just spread out a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about, obviously, heat all morning long, especially during the show. And so we actually did pull ahead some tips that can help you guys maybe save some money and stay cool. So first, and this is going to sound really weird, but go ahead and close your blinds and then get some aluminum foil covered cardboard.
It's too much work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot, but you might save some little money. And so the way it helps, 76% of sunlight, it actually turns into heat. So that cardboard, the aluminum, shields your windows from letting the heat and the light
It just
in.
reflects off
to
your neighbor.
The funny
to your neighbor.
if you drive past that person, thinks the apocalypse is coming.
Stop it.
It's a strange looking house.
Hey, they're saving a couple dollars.
Aluminum foil on the window.
And then the second tip, and this is going to get a little bit in your business, but if you do have ice packs, we want to just make sure you know how to use them. The best places to cool off. Put the pack on your wrists, your elbows, your feet, your thighs, around your head and your neck as well. Then 3, this is a bit on the nose. I know I'm a little bit behind our graphics, but that's okay. Go ahead and avoid your appliances. So maybe don't cook on the stovetop or the oven. Leave the laundry for nighttime and then put your wash on cold. And then that's as far as the heat. Now we can talk about hitting the wallets. So that can be felt across the country. We talked about this specifically during the show. Millions of folks across the country have been under heat alerts. This has been all week. And of course, cooling off the home, it keeps getting more expensive. So Bank of America actually says that the average monthly utility payment went up 23% since 2019. And then an angle that a lot of folks don't think about, I mean, folks with outdoor jobs. So reports actually say 2.5 billion hours were lost in labor just due to the heat.
Wow.
And then, of
you
course,
think of people, roofers, oh my God.
Roofers, construction,
Pavers,
agriculture.
yeah,
At some point, you can't be outside.
And
so it's a danger.
To be on a roof, you have to wear full clothing, so else you can get burned.
Yes.
So yeah, no, it's and we also talked about UV index before as well. It's usually the late morning to the early afternoon that has the highest UV index, but usually tip your hottest temperature later in the day. The only good thing that works out for us is those dew points typically come down a little bit during the afternoon, which does temper things. But still, we're splitting hairs here. It still feels like 100 degrees, and there's not a big difference from 100 to 103.
This is the truth. So get your fans, get your misters if you got them.
And your aluminum foil cardboard.
And your ice packs.
And your ice packs. So just get the list. But of course, guys, make sure you stay safe and try to stay cool through the weekend. We're going to see you right back here on Monday. Have a blessed day, guys.
See you then.
Out on the road maybe tonight, tomorrow, or even this weekend. Our Where's the Money team is helping you get ahead of some of the sneaky expenses.
That's right. Experts warn rising insurance rates and high gas prices will make the summer's road trip more costly than last year's. WCNC Charlotte's Jane Monreal joins us with expert tips to avoid asking, where's the money, Jane?
That's right, guys. A new study from NerdWallet shows 1 in 5 summer travelers plan to go into debt for vacation. You don't want to do that. We spoke with an expert who shares some money-saving tips so you don't have to.
Rod Griffin, Senior Director for Experience, says when surveyed, 71% of people say inflation and increased costs have affected their travel budget.
So they're looking at how they can travel for less. and where they can travel to and manage those expenses and what they can do to reduce their costs just generally.
Griffin says when planning a road trip, people often consider the cost of gas to save money, but says not enough people are reviewing their car insurance.
Insurance rates have increased more than 20% over the last year, largely due to inflation as well. And if you can reduce those insurance rates, your monthly premium, you can save money that would help you get on the road more efficiently.
How much can people save on average? Griffin says about $800 a year.
So that goes directly to that bottom line and maybe being able to put a little more gas in the car to get a little further away from home.
Griffin says the money-saving tips don't just stop at your car. He mentions there are plenty of ways to save money once you reach your destination as well.
You know that hotel and motel costs have gone up, but there are alternatives to where you stay. Things like renting a private home, for example, or sharing a rental property with others in your family or with friends can save money.
As you purchase your food, accommodations, and souvenirs, Griffin suggests paying with a credit card that offers discounts on purchases.
Another advantage to using credit cards when you travel as opposed to cash or debit card is that they provide additional legal protections against fraud, and so it can be safer. And if fraud happens, using a credit card could save you a lot of money because you won't lose it right out of your checking account, right out of your wallet.
Time now to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense, artificial intelligence is making a lot of things easier in the professional world. But this morning, companies looking for cybersecurity professionals say it's making it way harder to find qualified candidates.
Hackers are using AI tools to pose as job applicants and sneak into the same companies that are trying to hire professionals to stop them. Let's connect the dots. The Wall Street Journal reports the cyber sector is suffering a shortfall of about 4 million workers. That means a lot of companies are more vulnerable to cyber attacks than ever before, and they are desperate to fill those gaps. AI makes it a lot harder for companies to spot imposters because it can help applicants tailor resumes and generate answers for cover letters. Combine that with deep fake pictures that look nearly identical to real people, and you have the perfect recipe for a bad actor that's nearly impossible to spot. If these spies get hired and get access to company under the guise of a cybersecurity pro, they could steal corporate data and property. Experts report a lot of these bad actors are from North Korea and have already raised billions through computer fraud and hacking efforts. And that is connecting the dots.
With your help, WCNC Charlotte is making a difference in our community.
Beautiful day, so many people helping. This is incredible.
Let's spread that love tonight.
Here is a $5,000 check that you guys can use to further the mission.
There is nothing on earth like the feeling of giving back with your hands.
$5,000 to you and Block Love Charlotte for what you guys do.
If you'd like to make a difference, go to WCNC.com/make-a-difference now.
Time now to connect the dots, and we make the news make sense. Today, millions of people across the country will celebrate Juneteenth, which marks the end of slavery in the United States. But it wasn't always recognized.
How did Juneteenth become a federal holiday? Let's connect the dots. Juneteenth, a combination of the words June and 19th, commemorates when the last enslaved people in the South were finally set free. It's a holiday rich in history. After the Union defeated the Confederacy in 1965, 4 million slaves were set to become free. But it didn't happen immediately. Union armies began marching through the southern states, freeing thousands of slaves every day. The news took months to reach Texas. On June 19, 1865, Union troops rode into Galveston, Texas, and told slaves of their freedom. Their spontaneous celebration gave birth to Juneteenth. Over 150 years later, private companies made Juneteenth a permanent paid holiday for their employees after protests erupted following the murder of George Floyd. Then in 2021, the U.S. Congress passed legislation to make it a federal holiday, and President Biden signed it into law. And that's connecting the dots.
In about an hour, the Cardinals and Giants will make history. They're playing the first Major League Baseball game at Rickwood Field in Alabama.
And if you don't know, it is the oldest pro ballpark in the country and was once the home of the Negro Leagues in Birmingham, the Birmingham Black Barons, I should say, the team there. WCNC Charlotte's Nick Sturdivant has more on this historic moment.
Even though he can't make it in person,
I've always wanted to go there so bad. I mean, being a huge Cubs fan, like that field's even older than Wrigley Field. I mean, that is like the field that signifies the Negro Leagues.
watching it at home is just as impactful for Brandon Lunsford. Tonight, Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, will host the St. Louis Cardinals and San Francisco Giants. It's 114 years old and once the home of the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues. It was also the former home to Baseball Hall of Famer Willie Mays.
It's almost like Willie planned it this way, you know, like that he went out right when they're about to play this game at the field where he started in, and right after this historic moment where finally, after all these years, the Hall of Fame recognized those 10 hits that he had. With the Birmingham Black Barons.
The game honoring Mays and many others that played in the Negro Leagues as part of an ongoing effort by MLB to highlight black players.
It is sad in a way that, Willie wouldn't be able to see it, but I know his memory will live on there. And, as a fan, getting an opportunity to go there, I can't imagine what it's going to be like. I know Major League Baseball has done so many different things to that facility, the oldest ballpark in the country, and it's going to be special.
Meanwhile, Lunsford, the director of library services at Johnson C. Smith University, is also working to preserve Negro League history.
I wanted to bring the exhibit here just to raise awareness, I guess, to our students that, we did have teams. Some of these guys went on to play Negro League teams and just the importance of the Negro Leagues.
Last year, JCSU opened its Negro Leagues baseball exhibit featuring a collection of photos and artifacts. Lunsford hopes the ongoing work to celebrate the Negro Leagues will make an impact and attract younger fans.
Baseball was so important to black communities in general around that time, the 1900s. And, it was not just a sport, but it was also, a social event.
Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Nick Sturdivant.
It's good to see that history isn't lost. The game at Rickwood Field starts at 7:15 tonight.
Verify, WCNC Charlotte.
Verify is all about trying to make a difference in the community by making sure that the community has the correct information. This is what we know, and hey, this is what we don't know. Sometimes you're actually surprised by the answer.
Verify the difference.
Verify is a great way to combat that misinformation, making sure that people know the process of the reporting.
Story this morning is that potentially dangerous heat that we're expecting through the weekend. As Larry's been telling us all week, we're expecting temperatures to feel like the triple digits.
And the high temperatures could last through at least Wednesday. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us this morning with what you need to know to keep you and your family safe. Good morning, Richard.
Hey, good morning to you, Kia. Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm standing right here off of Sugar Creek. You can see this particular thermostat is saying 71 degrees. It's 5:02. We're probably not going to see this temperature anytime soon, as the temperatures are going to get right up there into possibly some triple digits eventually. Now, this weekend promises to be a hot one for all. Use air conditioners or a fan if you can. Stay inside. Take cool showers or baths, and keep your skin wet with a damp sponge or spray bottle. Wear loose, light clothing, light colored clothing as well, that reflects the heat and sunlight. You can also try eating light meals. That would really help in cold treats. Eat ice cream and watermelon. Drink lots of liquids before you feel thirsty, especially when you're outdoors. Or we want to tell you, if you're active, you should drink water every 15 to 20 minutes, and try to avoid alcoholic beverages and drinks which are high in sugar or caffeine. And whenever you're outside, take extra precautions. Find shade whenever you can. Wear a big hat to protect your face. Do your best to limit physical activity to cooler parts of the day, and also avoid outdoor work during the hottest parts of the day. And as Dr. Chris Banner says, watch out for your body's warning signs.
You will often start to notice that you feel a sense of tiredness
sluggishness, if you will. Your mouth may become dry, and these are all signs that you're starting to become overheated. Often people will have difficulty, thinking as clearly.
Yeah, those are warning signs. If you feel that way, please get some water, get into shade right away, try to limit your time out of doors, and do your best to stay cool for the next few, well, until this heat wave stops. We're right here in Charlotte. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
Well, right now we are in the middle of graduation season. Millions of students are turning their tassels towards their next chapter.
And for some, that's college. But for others, a local nonprofit is seeking solutions to get them to higher education, those who might not otherwise actually be able to go. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden shows us how Queen City Scholars is helping them get that full college experience.
This is a program that works with kids who are the first in their families to go to college. The program actually sends the kids to college campuses during their high school summer breaks. The idea, help them get a feel for what college will be like.
It was phenomenal. I went back every year, so it was pretty great.
West Charlotte High School grad Jazzy Lee is the first in her family to go to college, and she actually started the process as a sophomore in high school.
I feel like it really prepared me for college.
Lee was chosen as a Queen City Scholar, a nonprofit that takes a unique approach to getting students ready for higher learning.
And they'll get to replicate what it's like to be a college student for the summer.
Students at 4 Charlotte high schools are handpicked to spend the summer at Delaware State University. They live on campus, take classes, and are mentored.
And it helps prepare them for the next level in the sense of they get to experience what it's like to be a college student away from home. So they have to wake up. They have to understand dealing with roommate issues. They have to understand dining. They have to understand the rigors of a college curriculum. They have to understand balance.
Johanna Cruz will be a junior at West Charlotte next year.
It was really amazing.
She's about to go back for the second summer.
And at first I was hesitant to even apply because it was in a different state and I was afraid of being somewhere new, but it turned out to be really good.
Lee says it was the best thing for her and her family as far as getting ready for school.
It definitely kind of helped ease the transition. So I'm a first generation student. So my mom and my family didn't really know what that college transition process was like. But going to Delaware kind of introduced me to that.
21 students at West Charlotte High have been through the program since it started back in 2020. And the school's assistant principal says it's turning other students on to the idea of college.
It's been really great because scholars will come back from that experience and then share with other students about it. And there's this organic kind of college-going culture that it's created.
Jazzy Lee is now a sophomore at Queen's University.
Now as a college student, I feel like I'm really thriving. I've really acclimated to the community, and I feel like part of that is due to QCS.
The program recently expanded to include 4 Charlotte area high schools, and they're looking to expand even more in the near future. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, getting into college is the first hurdle. The second one can be affording it. Tonight on our streaming app, WCNC Plus, we share strategies to help parents and students save for college, including some accounts that can help you get ahead on taxes, plus financial aid options. Scan the QR code on the screen to watch it now, or just check out our latest Your Money episode at 8 p.m. on your favorite streaming device. Go to the forecast. I've already seen you post it, Brad. It seems like that air you can wear is moving in from the coast already.
Yeah. Oh, Myrtle Beach right now, the dew point is 80 degrees, Colin. That is about as high as we've seen. Our all-time record high dew point here in Charlotte is 82. So that should put it in perspective. That is incredibly muggy air. And the heat is going to build throughout the weekend. Mid-90s, it'll feel like triple digits. As you mentioned, the air you can wear, that's part of the thing. It's not only the temperature going up, but the dew point. The dew point is the absolute best measure of how much moisture is in the air. It's not relative to the temperature, so it doesn't fluctuate. It gets to a certain level, pretty much stays there. The relative humidity goes up and down throughout the day based on the temperature, so it fluctuates quite a bit. The air you can wear, or that dew point temperature, is definitely going to tell you what it feels like. Little to zero rain chances out there. Now, part of the reason we're seeing that humidity increase and the dew points going up is this little low. It's not developing into anything tropically. It doesn't have a lot of rain with it, but what it is pulling in is tropical moisture. Look at this tropical moisture. You get into these areas where what we call this precipitable water. It's basically how much moisture is in the atmosphere. You see those kind of salmon shades there and kind of the reds. That is straight out of the tropics, and you could see it moving into the low country of South Carolina, eastern North Carolina. But notice by Sunday and Monday, That starts getting close to Charlotte and the Sandhills. Very, very nasty air. But middle of the week, maybe a brief drying out before more of that air moves back in. So what this is going to do, the dew point's going to jump. I don't think we'll get 80. I think this is a little off the charts, but getting into the 70s, period. Anything above 70 is incredibly muggy and causes a lot of danger. Now, we're not going to see the rainfall, so we're getting the mugginess without the moisture. We are dry across all of the Carolinas, and the reason we're not going to see much moisture is the high pressure over us is pushing down, so it's trapping the moisture near the surface, not allowing for storms to develop. Now, could there be 1 or 2 this weekend? There's certainly a tiny chance, 10, maybe 20%. But most of you are going to stay completely dry. So we're getting all the negativity of that moisture, none of the positivity, which would be some rainfall. So these heat domes, you've heard that term a lot. It's not new. It's been around for a long time. We use it in meteorology constantly. It literally is a dome of high pressure. We call these ridges because they're mountains of air. The atmosphere is actually thicker over us when we have these domes of high pressure, but they also push down on us, which compresses the air, heats it up, also causes an inversion, which keeps everything trapped near the surface. You often see poor air quality days, and it also deters thunderstorms from developing. So the rain chances stay negligible the next several days. The heat index and the excessive heat risk increases to major over the weekend, could be extreme for parts of next week. So stay cool out there. Watch out for the young, the old, and again, those with illnesses. And again, the pets. Make sure they're protected as well. Plenty of water and a place to cool off as we're in the low to mid 90s, but it feels even hotter than that. You can see the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. I mean, that period between Sunday and Wednesday, we want you to say weather aware for the excessive heat because it'll be the hottest period that we've seen so far this year, Colin.
All right, Brad. Thanks for trying to get us prepared here. And there are plenty of ways to beat the heat this weekend. We're talking about WCNC.com with a full list of fun water activities in the Queen City, ranging from community pools to splash pads and even some water parks out there.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
New tonight, CMPD telling us it has now arrested 2 people in connection to the death of a man in South Charlotte. 40-year-old Darian Neal and 40-year-old Asia Tapp are now facing multiple charges in this. According to a police report, they stole a cell phone from 32-year-old Jonathan Dockery on Thursday before attacking him with a sharp object, killing him. Now we're hearing from his family who are just looking for answers. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King joining us in the studio with more.
Well, the family told me today while dealing with their devastating new reality, they now also have to beat the clock on fundraising for funeral costs. They told me they have until Tuesday to raise enough money.
I just want my son back. My only son. He has a good heart. He always stay to himself. He don't mind helping people. It just hurt.
A gut-wrenching new reality.
If somebody took his life, that person is cold-hearted.
And one the family of 32-year-old Jonathan Dockery is still trying to figure out.
Why? He was a good person. So why? He did anything, gave you everything. He just wanted love.
Investigators say 2 people tried to rob Dockery of his cell phone at an apartment complex along Farmhurst Drive in South Charlotte. Those 2 people identified by police as 40-year-old Darian Neal and 40-year-old Asia Tapp were told they used a sharp object.
I don't want to, wish nothing bad on nobody, but I really, really hope that, every day of their life is miserable. I want them to feel the same thing that I feel.
Both Neal and Tapp charged with first-degree murder and robbery with a dangerous weapon, and the family left picking up the pieces. While still grieving, they're also trying to find the funds to properly say goodbye.
If you see it in your heart, to want to help, get my brother cremated, so we'll have him, anything will help us right now.
They say they have until Tuesday to get it all in order because that's the day they officially say goodbye to a beloved brother and son. For more information on the GoFundMe, you can head to our website at WCNC.com. In Charlotte, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Maybe for dinner, the blessing of that warm meal might get lost in the hustle and bustle of our day.
But for so many kids across Charlotte, that warm meal is not always a guarantee. A few weeks back, we learned about the nonprofit Culinary Connections during one of our community listening sessions. That's an effort here at WCNC Charlotte to get to know the big issues in our neighborhoods and look at how we can help seek solutions. We were delighted to hear the many ways this group is trying to help underserved youth get ahead through the power of culinary arts.
At Cuzzo's Cuisine in Northeast Charlotte,
you should get little pieces of them like this.
a meal is underway.
Well, cooking for me is kind of like a coping mechanism. It just like calms me down.
And lunch service for these little chefs nourishes in so many ways.
It just makes me feel happy.
16-year-old Amina Maliki has been part of the Culinary Connections cooking classes for a couple months. The sessions, meant for kids in Charlotte's underserved neighborhoods, offer various skills.
Sanitation, nutrition, temperature-wise, like when the food's done.
Chef Dario Johnson is one of the founders of the program, which launched amid pandemic lockdowns when some kids lost access to meals they might have had at school.
Since COVID, when the kids was out of school, we was feeding them 5 days a week.
He says eventually the program branched out into the lessons, following the old proverb about teaching a man how to fish.
If you receive, you got to give back, and the community take care of me, I got to take care of my community.
He says while many kids come away with a basic life skill and appreciation for nutrition, others have their aha moment.
After high school, I want to go to culinary school and expand my business to like different, cities and things like that.
You heard that right. Maliki is already cooking professionally.
It's called Mina's Palette. I cater. I do soul food and sweet treats as well, like chocolate-covered pretzels, Rice Krispie treats, things like that.
Showing the program really is whipping up a recipe for success for these young culinary artists.
Now, in addition to the meals for the kids and the classes, Culinary Connections also whips up meals for the unhoused, and we know that requests for that are growing. After hearing all the ways this nonprofit has been helping folks get ahead, we wanted to help too. So Culinary Connections, thank you so much for having us. We love the work that you're doing in the community, and we are always down to help folks who are helping others get ahead in the community. So thank you. We would love to present this $5,000 check. This is from WCNC Charlotte, Tegna Foundation, Parham Family Charitable Fund, and Steel Skin Realty. And just thank you so very much for what you're doing to help the kids and feed the community and teach these awesome skills and help folks get ahead. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if you would like to learn how to donate to the cause as well, you can look for this article at WCNC.com.
WCNC Charlotte.
Good morning, Carolinas.
Tune in to the team that's preparing you for your day.
The one and only Larry Sprinkle.
See the difference in your morning.
It is bitter cold just about anywhere you look.
Here's a look right here at I-77 northbound.
Trying to make your dollar stretch a little bit further.
Responsible reporting, community-focused, unique content.
It's so good to see you.
Y'all are having too much fun.
See the difference. Weekday mornings on WCNC Charlotte.
Just last week, we debunked some common pool myths like waiting a half hour before eating, before getting into the water. Well, this sparked some new questions like if you're required to shower before getting into a public pool. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg is diving into the answer in today's Verify Fact Check.
Okay, so be honest. Do you rinse off before hopping into a public pool? Well, a National Library of Medicine study shows 69% of people actually do take a pre-swim shower. But is it required in North Carolina? Let's get the facts. Our sources, that National Library of Medicine study, Allie Gaines, the owner of Charlotte Aquatics, North Carolina's Department of Health and Human Services, and the CDC. According to this study, pre-swim showers reduce the number of germs, sweat, cosmetics, and other organic compounds that decrease the risk of infection. It can also help take off any lotions or cosmetics that might interfere with chlorine.
If you go into the pool and you have germs or dirt or bacteria on your body, it could get into the pool.
The CDC states the most common swimming-related illnesses are diarrhea, skin rashes, swimmer's ear, flu, and irritation of the eyes or respiratory tract.
To help prevent that, the CDC suggests rinsing off in the shower for 1 minute to remove dirt or anything from your body.
If you don't shower before you go into a pool, it makes that chlorine or that bromine work even harder to eat those things up.
NCDHHS says in North Carolina, public pools are required to have signs around the pool directing pool users to shower before entering the pool. But actually requiring a shower is not required.
It's not required by law to shower before going in a public pool, but it is heavily recommended.
However, the law does require a shower for people entering a spa or hot tub. It also prohibits oils, body lotion, and minerals in the water. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
If you have something you would like verified, just email us at verify@wcnc.com.
Well, right now, the sports world continues to mourn the loss of a baseball icon.
That's right. Willie Mays, one of the sport's greatest and most beloved players, has left us. He was 93. As WCNC Charlotte's Next Start event reports, our local teams here are remembering and honoring the legend in their own special way.
It's been more than 5 decades since the Say Hey Kid retired.
It's definitely a conversation that we like to have around here.
But the conversation surrounding his impact and greatness continues. Both Dan Haloti with the Kannapolis Cannonballers.
Icon, legend, one of the greatest to ever do it. You know, obviously a guy that spent a long time playing baseball and obviously is a pioneer of it.
And Tommy Viola with the Charlotte Knights.
Yeah, you know, Willie Mays was a 5-tool player. I mean, he had every, attribute that you would want in a baseball player. He had power, he had speed, he hit for average. I mean, his career numbers are some of the best in all of Major League Baseball.
Are still in awe of what Willie Mays was able to do.
We all know the history and the legends of Willie Mays and what he did for the game. I mean, he played in the Negro Leagues 1948. He played with the Birmingham Black Sox, a team that played at Rickwood Field, ended up getting into the majors and made a story and made a name for himself, and a guy that kind of showed that you can do anything that you want to.
The center fielder was baseball's oldest living Hall of Famer. His over-the-shoulder catch in the 1954 World Series still celebrated.
Over the shoulder like this, I mean, he made that amazing catch, 1954.
It's certainly amazing. I mean, just the awareness he had of knowing the moment, knowing the situation of like, yes, you still make the catch, but it's arguably more difficult, especially at a place like the Bowling Grounds where he made that catch, to throw it back in.
Over 22 MLB seasons, he hit 660 home runs and won a dozen Gold Gloves. Viola says his play on the field matched who he was off of it.
And Willie finished his career with the New York Mets, and my dad used to tell me stories of going to Shea Stadium and seeing the great Willie Mays play and some of his last years of his career. So just great memories, a great guy, and lived a phenomenal life.
Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Nick Sturdivant.
Well, every minor and major league team, including the Knights and Cannonballers, will hold a moment of silence for Mays.
Yeah, an absolute legend, of course, as many will continue to miss him, but a trailblazer as well.
Wake up to the news that matters most with meteorologist and traffic reporter Chris Mulcahy.
And we're all clear. We're keeping you smarter, safer, and on time.
Start your day the Mulcahy way. See the difference. 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
Breaking right now. At 6, in the last 45 minutes, we've learned a second person has been arrested following a chaotic police chase. Take a look at your screen if you can. Cleveland County deputies tell us that Jennifer Lynn Hughes on the right side of your screen, now in custody, alongside Jeremy Aaron Huffman. He's facing multiple charges, including attempted murder.
Now, our cameras were there the moment authorities caught Huffman after he tried to run away from police. This is video you will see only on WCNC Charlotte. We can tell you right now, Huffman and Hughes are being held in the Cleveland County Detention Center.
So WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre spoke to the community, who says that they're relieved tonight.
People I spoke to say they are glad to see such a dangerous man off the streets and behind bars. Luckily, no one was hurt in the chase or shootout.
A community breathing a sigh of relief.
We live kind of
about maybe a mile from that place, and so it was definitely a little unnerving knowing that he was on the run.
After this man, Jeremy Aaron Huffman, accused of shooting at deputies and leading police on a chase, is arrested. This is the moment our crews captured a shirtless Huffman sprinting across several lanes off Highway 226 and Dixon Boulevard. Get on the ground! Running into the nearby woods, trying to get away from police after crashing his car. Thursday, he was taken into custody after an hours-long manhunt. 26-year-old Jennifer Lynn Hughes was also captured. She was with the suspect in the car when it crashed.
I had a lot of manpower.
It all started in Lincoln County Wednesday afternoon when deputies say they spotted a car that was reported stolen in Catawba County. Officials say when deputies approached the car, it took off. Police say during the chase, which ended in Cleveland County, Huffman shot at officers. A school bus with kids inside was also hit by a bullet, but no one was hurt.
We don't need no people like that on the streets, especially shooting into a school bus with kids. And it seems like the Shelby police done a good job.
Cleveland County Sheriff Alan Norman with strong words.
This individual never needs to see daylight again.
A sentiment shared in the community.
If you're going to start shooting at people, especially police or kids in a bus, I mean, there's no way you should be a free person in this society. You're not helpful at all.
Sheriff Norman says they both had no regard for anyone else's life as they sped recklessly down the highway, firing a gun as they went, both facing several charges. In Shelby, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
According to the CDC, drowning is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4. And a family from Dallas, North Carolina almost fell into this stat with their 2-year-old daughter. This is a story every parent should see after a family's pool party narrowly avoided a tragedy. But the parents say thanks to CPR, the outcome here was truly a miracle.
Well, it was Memorial Day.
You having fun? A pool party turning into a nightmare for Matthew and Amy Shortridge.
I mean, of course, bad things can happen, but I never, ever in my life
Enjoy Memorial Day?
thought that would happen at my pool with my kids.
The parents of 3 said after swimming for a couple hours, they took 2-year-old Mila out of the pool for the day. Then, the unthinkable.
Something just clicked to me. I need to say her name.
Mila's 10-year-old sister, Adeline, making the shocking discovery.
I had heard my older daughter, Adeline, screaming out my youngest daughter's name. She just screamed, Mila!
Mila, Mila.
I knew immediately that blood-curdling scream, what that meant.
Matthew saw Mila floating in the pool.
I immediately jumped into the pool. I've never seen anything quite like it in my life. I turned her over, and in my hands, I held my 2.5-year-old baby's limp, lifeless, blue-gray body.
She looked completely dead.
Matthew, a nurse anesthetist, immediately got to work.
We started CPR, and I just began to pray, God, please, please open up the lungs of my child. Please let me get some air in her.
I just was shocked that something that severe had just happened when we were all adults were sitting by the pool.
Their minds began to race.
How did I allow this to happen?
After seconds go by, and those seconds feel like minutes, that it's not working, she's not breathing. And you feel so hopeless, like, is she gonna breathe again?
There for a split second, I thought we were going to be a family of 4 instead of 5.
But in that moment, they turned their panic into prayer.
All of a sudden, I noticed her eyes opened. At that point in time, I saw her blink, and I thought, there's life. And I remember rearing back and saying, there's life, there's life. I felt her whimper and cry.
When I heard that, my heart just filled with joy so much that she was saved and she was alive.
When EMS arrived, Matthew said he rode in the ambulance with little Mila. He began to sing to his baby, a song they sing every night.
It isn't any trouble just to S-M-I-L-E. And she began to spell S-M-I-L-E. And I knew, I started crying. I said, God, you've saved my baby. And I remember just thanking God.
The family, so thankful Mila has made a full recovery.
Anybody that has children, get CPR training. If you are babysitting children, if you are a worker at a church or a school, you should have CPR training. If you are a parent of a child, you should have CPR training. I truly believe it's a miracle. I call her my miracle Mila. Miracles still happen. I believe that.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And they said they have a new rule now in their house that anytime the kids are swimming, they are going to be in the pool with them. But thank goodness little Mila is okay.
I mean, the thing is, I'm sure they feel guilt and everything, but they shouldn't. I mean, something like that can happen so quickly, and that's
with
that's the
parents
biggest
all
thing.
around the pool.
Yeah,
adults all around the pool. It can happen in a second, and they wanted to share their story to hopefully help save another life.
Yeah, wow, that's like out of a movie right there.
It is. Yeah.
Happy.
The Today Show is going to be featuring them this morning too at 7:40.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. This morning they're going to be sharing their story.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
great.
7:40.
When it comes to WCNC's chief meteorologist Brad Panovich, our viewers tell the whole story.
Hey, if you're new to the area, this meteorologist is awesome.
I always stick with Brad Panovich when it comes to severe weather. He's rarely wrong.
You should follow Brad if you don't already. He's usually right on the money with his forecast.
I don't look at anything else besides what Brad says. We are fortunate to have him here.
Brad Panovich. Experience the difference with WCNC Charlotte weather.
Well, this weekend, if you're outside in those summer temperatures, this one's for you. Before you pack up the cooler, WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg is verifying how to keep your food and your family safe.
Okay, so who doesn't like an ice cold beverage and a good cookout, or maybe even a cheese board on the boat? However fancy you want to get, let's take a look at what you need to know to keep that food safe to eat. To get the facts, we went to dietitian Beth Zeroni with the Cleveland Clinic, Atrium Health, and the FDA. The FDA says cold food should be stored at 40 degrees or below to prevent bacteria growth. Foods like meat, poultry, and seafood can be packed and frozen to make them stay cooler for longer. And if you are cooking meats, Zeroni says cooking less is more.
Cook them in small batches, so then that way you just cook what you need, so that the food doesn't have to be sitting out for longer than necessary.
According to the FDA, food should not sit out for longer than 2 hours. If outdoor temperatures hit 90 degrees, that food should only be sitting out for an hour. If it's longer, throw it away. And if you don't have water and soap on hand, it's best to pack that hand sanitizer.
You're transporting the food, you're gonna be touching the raw food, you've been touching the car, you've been touching the utensils, you're touching these things. So again, you don't have soap and water there, so bringing stuff with you is gonna be really important.
Atrium Health also suggests to separate your coolers, one with drinks and the other with packed meats. This will prevent cross-contamination. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
When did you know what you wanted to be?
Hey Mom, the weather's on!
WCNC Charlotte's chief meteorologist Brad Panovich always knew what he was meant to do.
All right, don't forget your umbrella.
In fact, he joined the American Meteorological Society when he was 13. Now Brad is all grown up. You can see him right here on WCNC Charlotte, making sure you're informed and safe.
Hey, where did all my hair go?
Experience the difference.
Go to the forecast. I've already seen you post it, Brad. It seems like that air you can wear is moving in from the coast already.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Myrtle Beach right now, the dew point is 80 degrees, Colin. That is about as high as we've seen. Our all-time record high dew point here in Charlotte is 82. So that should put it in perspective. That is incredibly muggy air. And the heat is going to build throughout the weekend. Mid-90s, it'll feel like triple digits. As you mentioned, the air you can wear, that's part of the thing. It's not only the temperature going up, but the dew point. The dew point is the absolute best measure of how much moisture is in the air. It's not relative to the temperature, so it doesn't fluctuate. It gets to a certain level, pretty much stays there. The relative humidity goes up and down throughout the day based on the temperature. So it fluctuates quite a bit. The air you can wear, or that dew point temperature, is definitely going to tell you what it feels like. Little to zero rain chances out there. Now, part of the reason we're seeing that humidity increase and the dew points going up is this little low. It's not developing into anything tropically. It doesn't have a lot of rain with it, but what it is pulling in is tropical moisture. Look at this tropical moisture. You get into these areas where what we call this precipitable water. It's basically how much moisture is in the atmosphere. You see those like kind of salmon shades there and kind of the reds. That is straight out of the tropics, and you could see it moving into the low country of South Carolina, eastern North Carolina. But notice by Sunday and Monday, that starts getting close to Charlotte and the Sandhills. Very, very nasty air. But middle of the week, maybe a brief drying out before more of that air moves back in. So what this is going to do, the dew point's going to jump. I don't think we'll get 80. I think this is a little off the charts, but getting into the 70s, period. Anything above 70 is incredibly muggy and causes a lot of danger. Now, we're not going to see the rainfall, so we're getting the mugginess without the moisture. We are dry across all of the Carolinas, and the reason we're not going to see much moisture is the high pressure over us is pushing down, so it's trapping the moisture near the surface, not allowing for storms to develop. Now, could there be 1 or 2 this weekend? There's certainly a tiny chance, 10, maybe 20%. But most of you are going to stay completely dry. So we're getting all the negativity of that moisture, none of the positivity, which would be some rainfall. So these heat domes, you've heard that term a lot. It's not new. It's been around for a long time. We use it in meteorology constantly. It literally is a dome of high pressure. We call these ridges because they're mountains of air. The atmosphere is actually thicker over us when we have these domes of high pressure, but they also push down on us, which compresses the air, heats it up, also causes an inversion, which keeps everything trapped near the surface. You often see poor air quality days, and it also deters thunderstorms from developing. So the rain chances stay negligible the next several days. The heat index and the excessive heat risk increases to major over the weekend, could be extreme for parts of next week. So stay cool out there. Watch out for the young, the old, and again, those with illnesses. And again, the pets. Make sure they're protected as well. Plenty of water and a place to cool off as we're in the low to